สวัสดีครับท่านนักลงทุนทุกท่านนะครับขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่การบรรยายสรุปข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL จำกัดมหาชนนะครับสำหรับไตรมาส2ที่สุดวันที่30มิถุนายน2566นะครับผู้ร่วมบรรยายสรุปข้อมูลวันนี้นะครับคุณมาเรียเบรนดาโรเปสนะครับเป็น VP ทาง Relations นะครับแล้วก็ผมประเสริฐอิทธิเมคินนะครับเป็น SVP ทาง Finance นะครับคุณมาเรียจะเป็นผู้บรรยายสรุปข้อมูลนะครับแล้วก็ผมและคุณมาเรียจะช่วยกันตอบคำถามนะครับขออนุญาตส่งต่อให้คุณมาเรียเลยนะเชิญครับ
Thank you, Professor. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming onto our session, updating on the events of TPIPL covering second quarter and also on the short-term outlook. As usual, we would like to remind you of the businesses, the scope of the businesses that we have. We have 4 distinct grouping in the group inside TPIPL. We have construction, specialty polymer and chemicals, which includes in here nitrate. We have energy and utilities, and then we also have agriculture and others. In terms of assets, we are quite significant in the construction materials. We have 4 lines of cement. And if you look at our installed capacity and utilization rate, which is over 90%, we would be the second largest Thailand-based cement producer. We are also dominant in mortar, as well as in adhesives and fiber cement. In a specialty polymer, we stand ahead of others because we are high value added in EVA. And this is a big explanation on why our margins and spreads are better than competitors or peers. And then we have nitrate. We are the only producer here in Thailand. And we have other small businesses which are essentially a byproduct of our waste handling, which is the basic material for our power production and utilities business. We are the largest MSW fired power plant operator in Thailand with 180 megawatt in capacity installed. So these are just our products, and we have in excess of 5,000 SKUs. We are very diversified, especially in the area of construction material, whereby we can literally offer solutions to construction companies for all their construction and building material needs. We have a very strong innovation culture. If you look back in our history, you can see we were the first one who launched the mortar product in Thailand. We are still the first in terms of MSW powered power plant. And we have a lot of firsts in the building product segment. We also have a few more successes in innovation in healthcare related products. We have Bionox, which is a high alkaline powder drink that can help in terms of constraining viral growth. And we have a probiotic which has a shelf life of about 3 months, simply because of the technology that we use in order to wrap the lactobacilli into the drinks. And because of this strong innovative capability, you can see our spreads and margins standing above other operators in the country. Like, for example, in the case of petrochemical, our closest peers, their EBITDA margin in the second quarter ranges from 5% to 16%, whereas for our specialty polymer, we were at 29%. And the reason for that is easily explained by this simple picture, whereby the red line is the commodity grade, and the yellow and the green line are the HVA and HVA product. Okay. However, even with our strong margin performance and also resilient profitability, you can see us, and in terms of valuation, that we are at the bottom range of the valuation in whatever metric that you consider, like PE, for example, or in the P book. Whereas in terms of dividend yield, we actually deliver a much higher yield compared to our closest peers. Here is our performance. You must have seen it already, so I will do this very quickly. Construction material is the biggest revenue generator for us. And in the first half of 2023, we delivered growth of 8% in terms of sales. The second is our specialty polymer, which is 24% of our sales. But for this division, you would see a decline of 36% year-on-year, simply because of the spread, the lower price and the spread. This is linked to the slowdown in the manufacturing sector, including in the PV, as well as the lackluster recovery in the Chinese economy. For our energy, it's 19% of our sales, and it contracted by our energy was 19% of our sales, and it contracted less than the other two, than the specialty polymer division, right? And so overall, these are our three major divisions. In terms of sales, we saw a contraction of 9% simply because of the specialty. Now, this is our EBITDA allocation, and you can see that the biggest EBITDA contributor for our first half was actually the energy and utilities, followed by specialty polymer, and then the largest sector in terms of sales is at the third in terms of EBITDA contribution. So energy and utilities, if you recall, last year, the largest EBITDA contributor for our operation was specialty polymer. And this year, specialty polymer saw a slowdown, but then our energy and utilities rebounded because of our operations and our projects. Some of them have been completed. So you can see the change in the EBITDA contribution. So growth in the construction material is still negative, specialty also negative, but for energy is 12% up year-on-year in the first half. And here is a summarized version, and in here I included the margin. You can see that construction material is the biggest component of our asset, accounting for 56%. But it is the lowest in terms of EBITDA margin at 8%, whereas the specialty polymer is only 7% of our asset, but the EBITDA generating capability here is quite high at 27%, whereas on our power utilities, it's 35% of our asset, and the EBITDA generating margin here is 60%. Please, for those that cover TPIPL and TPIPL Power, please note that this breakdown is based on consolidated TPIPL account. You will see in a standalone TPIPL Power, the EBITDA margin is a little bit different. So this is on a company, mother company basis. Of the three major segments, the segment that has asset growth was a specialty polymer for the first half, and also the energy and utilities. The specialty polymer asset growth is linked to our ongoing project for a higher value added specialty polymer product, whereas our energy and utilities asset growth was linked to the capex for our switch into coal, into MSW for our waste power plant, coal power plant, sorry. So we are currently retrofitting our power plants that used to run coal and switching it into MSW. And this is in keeping with our long-term objective, which is to become fossil-free by 2026. This one is just a pictorial graphics showing you what is the characteristic of our margin. And you can see that energy and utilities have been coming down for a couple of reasons, but mainly and recently, this is because of the other expiring in 2 of our power plants. The most volatile segment is construction materials, and this has always been the case. Our objective here is to try our best to deliver a better performance every single year. So we are doing a lot of technical changes in the operations to make the operations more resilient and predictable. Specialty polymer, you can see here the rise in the spread and the margin. You can see this picture trajectory in the margin in relation to the usage of the EVA. The margin started spiking significantly from relative to history when the EVA usage went into hot mills and also solar power production. So for the first quarter, our margin was quite low, and then we improved in the second quarter. We are still below the 4-year average, but as we guided earlier on, last year we had a strong first half and a weak second half, a soft second half. This year we will have, we think, a soft first half and a better second half. And these are our leverage ratios. Still, you see us having a very defensive stance in terms of financial. We are keeping cash high, and this is about 30% of our sales generating capability. Our inventory is improving, but this is still a long way. We have a long way to go in here. But part of this inventory is the machinery, whereby we had to sit on our spare parts and such because we are doing a lot of plant modification programs. You recall that late in the first quarter, we had an upgrade on the credit rating to A-, and our funding cost is slightly below 4% at the moment. So this is just a backdrop on the second quarter operations for you to go back to when you want to review the things that I highlighted earlier on. So overall, actually, we saw an increase in the construction materials. This is cement, clinker, and mortar in the second quarter on a year-on-year basis. However, on a quarter-quarter basis, our hydraulic cement sales and also our mortar slowed down. And this is related to the election activities and how election activities disrupt construction activities as well. As for the EVA, our volume sales were slower due to sluggish demand, and also there was an inventory destocking happening in the conversion industry. Also, the anticipated recovery was weaker than we thought it would be. But Q-on-Q, we deliver better performance because in the first quarter, IRPC, which is a supplier of raw material for us, was in shutdown. So we couldn't really manufacture the product that we like. And then, but it completed, and now it's becoming normal. Nitrate business, you will see this segment delivering high EBITDA margin and EBITDA, nominal EBITDA. Last year, we gained market share because of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, disrupting the activities of our competitors. We are the only producer in Thailand, so our competition mainly comes from traders and importers. Well, the power, I think Konpakapon has already explained to you what has happened for the power sector in the first half in the last opportunity day performance report. So what do we think is the situation for the next, the second half? For construction materials, you know already, right, that we probably will not get the budget approved on time, which means that by budget protocol, we will be using the money that was not utilized in the previous fiscal year. And also, we probably will have a slower rollout in the public sector side of construction activities, which means that for us, we would be focusing on the private sector, and we believe that the private sector will continue in their construction activities. So that is going to be the area where we focus on. And we think we will do very well there, because if you notice our composition for the cement, clinker and mortar, we are more onto small projects, and we also are big in hydraulic cement and in the mortar cement division. Yeah, so in terms of weather, normally third quarter is the monsoon season for us, right? And you tend to see a lot of flooding, but this year is El Niño. So the disruption of the monsoon season onto the construction activity should be lesser than normal, but there will still be some rains affecting construction activity. Now, the export market, in terms of construction material, we are hoping that China will roll out the stimulus program in the property sector, right? And in terms of Vietnam, we are also hoping that the economic conditions there will improve. Why do we care about that? It's because in the clinker export market, these are the countries that we compete on. And for as long as the domestic demand in those countries are weak, then they will dump a lot of volume into the export market and keep causing a loss of pricing power. So we expect that it will be better in the second half. For sure, the cheaper coal prices will reduce the production cost of our clinker, and also the lower FT based on regulation will also reduce the cost of cement. So two sides, no, clinker production and the cement processing will benefit from lower energy prices. Now, in the EVA space, we see a little improvement in the utilization rate of the plastic conversion industry. And normally for petrochemicals, we know that third quarter, especially the later part of the third quarter, is the beginning of the jump in the manufacturing activities. And this is to prepare for the high season in December, fourth quarter, and also in the first quarter. So maybe we will see a recovery in the demand, and then it will kick into the recovery in prices and also possibly spread. Now, in the energy, you would have seen in the presentation of Kumpakapon that we finished the modification of the 70 megawatt hybrid. So it is now totally 100% MSW. And we are moving on to the modification of the 150 megawatt coal-fired power plant. So that this would be the reason for the disruption in terms of utilization rate now. Some analysts asked me about the guidance for the operating rate. Well, in the presentation, we tell you that we have 3 CODs. So you just basically look at 3 CODs and divide 150 with 3 CODs. So that is the amount of the capacity that will be affected as we roll out the different phases of our modification program, which is aimed to be completed by the end of 2025 and will bring us to 100% fossil free by 2026. Here is the energy cost picture. You can see that Southeast Asia prices and even the FOB Kalimantan for the coal is still very, very low compared to the same level as last year. And this is one of the biggest driver for our EBITDA margin improvement in the construction material space. This is our power. You can see that in the second quarter, we crossed 530 million units in terms of production. It would be desirable if we can go back to this higher 500 megawatt units in production. So we will wait and see. We are working very hard on this. And this is the other picture. It's quite an interesting topic because of the variability, because the government has to review the FT every quarter. So we already know what is the FT going to be for the September and December pricing. And overall, for those that are on PPA, it will bring us down. Our average price would be 5.89 per unit. And for that, for the one that we sell as SPP, basically to the mother company, our price will come down to 4.15. Right? And so if you look at these prices, it would be lower Q on Q, but you can see that in terms of the one that we sell SPP, it's still a bit higher than last year, 2022. But in terms of the one that is on contract PPA, it's a bit lower. What will complement this or offset this slightly lower tariff in the power is our production. We aim to continue increasing our production activities for the second half. So this is just an illustration for you on how the FT has been moving in the recent months or recent quarters. And this is a workout that we put out trying to explain on what happens to our EBITDA if you consider all the changes that is going around. So we will have a positive impact from the core price. We also have a positive impact on the replacement of our 70 megawatt going into SW, and we will have still positive impact on FT, but we will have a negative impact on the other. Remember that last year, around August, 2 of our projects no longer have other. So that was not a full quarter, no, for the third quarter, but this year is a full quarter effect. And this is our specialty polymer. So this is the long-term view for the demand and supply. And we use the China market as the proxy because it is the largest in terms of even in global basis. And manufacturing is definitely the main growth driver here. I know we always talk about the strong growth in the PV, right? You can see the use of EVA in the photovoltaic application. But in fact, when you look at the whole industry, the foam, which is manufacturing activity, and this includes the one that is used for the footwear production, is the largest component of the total demand for EVA. So because you can see here that the footwear industry, the usage utilization rate in China was very, very low. This is also the reason why you can see the drop in the price of the EVA and also the drop in the spread. Now, what is our scenario? You would recall that at the beginning of the year, when everyone was so optimistic on the recovery of China, you will see that the manufacturing sector utilization rate, especially you can see here, footwear and foam, was rising, right? From January to March, it started at 10 to 20%, and then it went up to 70 to 80% utilization rate, right? And then you can see that in the corresponding expansion of the spread. And then it started going down when the demand situation was slowing. And then you can see that in the coming down of the spread as well. We talk a lot about PV, solar panel applications, but you would also know that in here, the PV's utilization rate is also improving. So, but this is the biggest bulk of the demand driver. So if this continues to improve and PV holds very well, then we should be able to see a spread expansion onto the second half. And we can see a little improvement in the spread relative to what we have seen at the bottom in the second quarter. So let us hope that this will continue to move higher. What is going to make us perform better is because we have new products that we launch in the beginning of the year. So that should help improve our realized EBITDA margin. Now, this was our guidance, and this is our guidance that we gave to Tris, right? And based on the softer first quarter, you can see In terms of sales, first half, we met 44% of our full year guidance. But in terms of EBITDA, we are only 39%. And the margin was 23%, whereas our guidance was 24 to 25%. But the driver here going forward is cheaper coal, lower clinker costs, the launch of the green cement in June, and also improving EVA spread if our hypothesis of better manufacturing activities pan out in the second half. Power is overachieving our guidance in terms of EBITDA. It's 49% of the full year. And in terms of production, it's already at 54%. So this is probably where we can see revision. This is our charting of the EBITDA in terms of million baht. And you can see the third quarter guidance is flattish from the second quarter. And we are hoping and working to have a strong fourth quarter this year. This is just a show of who is delivering EBITDA margin, and also showing you indirectly on where we can gain mileage if we do better in terms of operating performance. And as before, it is in the construction materials where if we can improve ourselves, then it will have a very dramatic impact on our EBITDA generation, simply because construction material is the highest in terms of asset allocation. Now, this is our CapEx. We gave this to you at the beginning of the year also. This is 7.7 for this year, right? And in the first half, PPE plus advances of machinery, we are already at 4.2. So I think we are on line with our budget in the CapEx. And 58% of the 4.2 came from TPIPL power. So in the second half, the activity of the power, the retrofitting of our coal-fired power plant will be one of the biggest items. Now, this is the plan program for the conversion of TG8. You can see we are hoping to complete the first one, and then the second one in 2024, sorry, and then the last one in 2025. So a lot of analysts ask, like, what is the guidance for production? You just divide 150 megawatt into 3 phases. That should be good enough. Now, sustainability and other matters. This is very important because, like it or not, the world is moving towards sustainability agenda, and all companies are compelled to follow. So here you can see, this is our scorecard last year, right? You can see very broad headlines: recycling, green, reuse of resources, waste, and so on. And then you can see our scorecard in the first half. It's getting more detailed, because by the intensity of the CapEx investment, and also by the requirement of information disclosure, we have to give you basically each variable and what we have been doing. And so far in the first half, we are doing very well in terms of the WTA replacing coal. You know, this is a new project, right? And in the first half, in our clinker process, about 50% of it was already coal. Then we are replacing our trucks in the quarry into EV. And we took another delivery of 10. We already had 31 at the end of last year. And then our energy consumption, you can see, we had a reduction, an increase of, this is our energy reduction program, right? And you can see that our reduction program is improved by 4% on a year-on-year basis. And this is our greenhouse emission. And then we were able to reduce it by 714,000 units. And that is 14% increase year on year. And this is tied partly to the launch of the green cement, which we announced to you in June. And in our recycling, we have been using about 47%. And then on the industrial waste that we internally generate, we recycle actually close to 100% of it. And this is above our target because our target is just about 95% or so. And then on our corporate responsibility, we highlight that we provide employment to the seniors. And this is very important because our demographic characteristic, a lot of aging population. And then we also create jobs, right? And we have some social, corporate social responsibility programs. And then in our disposal, this is relating to our waste collection for our power. And we handle hazardous 20,000 units and non-hazardous 7,000 units. So this is us. We are gathering a lot of carbon merit on scope 1. Remember, there are 3 scopes, 1, 2, and 3. On scope 1 basis, we have TPIPL certified carbon credits of 1.2 million units. We also went to get certification on REC, and this is renewable energy credits. So, and we managed to get 1.4 million certified for our power activities. So for us, there is a market value on this particular asset, but we do not realize anything at the moment because the market is closed. Based on our internal calculation, by the time we finish the conversion of the 150 megawatt coal power, we will be reducing the W from landfill by 12 million. So we will continue for the shareholders. We will continue to get certified and get accreditation on whatever carbon and carbon related assets that we save or we manage to achieve as we try to move into fossil-free operations by 2026. So that when the market opens, we will be able to monetize these assets. Please note that all of these assets, the capex are already happening right now, and it's already reflected in our return on capital employed. So this is just a pictorial of carbon prices for our TPIPL certified carbon. And this is also the forecast. You can see that in the voluntary market, for the forecast for the general industry is by 2050, the price of carbon will be higher in the voluntary market, okay? But under a hybrid scenario whereby company can do carbon projects and also buy units from offset, the forecast value of carbon will actually be higher. But in the STBI, which is target-based, whereby what this means, STBI means that each corporate will take care of their own carbon emission and carbon saving projects. Then at that scenario, the price of carbon will drop in 2050. But I think realistically speaking, the better scenario or the likely scenario is the combination of voluntary market and hybrid. Therefore, it means that the price of our carbon will be better by the time the market opens. And so, yes, this is 2022 and this is 2021. There are a couple of awards we received for TPIPL. So why do we show this to you? It is because in the area of governance, it is not so easy to see the efforts of the corporates recognized very visibly. There is no monetary calculation, but there is expenditure associated. That's why we go and compete in all these awards and see whether what we are doing is actually acceptable in the global standards. This is why we pursue awards, and we would like to show this to you as our proud moments. In June, we launched the green cement, and I have sent a lot of messages to you on our green cement. But so this is just a quick capture. Where does it come? It starts with a low carbon clinker, and then lower clinker content cement products, and then substitution of coal in the clinker process, the EV on our quarry, and then other processes manipulation so that we will be more efficient. We have, even in our limestone now, we were able to recycle the limestone that in the first classification cannot be used. We have the CDE plant that can process it and we can use. That's why you can see, go back to the industrial waste that we generate. We are hitting 99% achievement compared to our target of 95. So this is our quarry. This is the conveyor belt. Instead of trucks moving from here down to the production line, we will do conveyor, but not all of the operation, but this is a significant amount. And this is why we actually save our clinker cost is much better than others because of the conversion of the conveyor belt. And this is the new technology whereby you use this SW into the clinker production, and we have Policius as our supplier. And this is the CDE, whereby we recycle the limestone that we cannot put into our plant immediately and process it further so that it can be pumped instead of being returned into the environment. And this is our e-wave. We took 10 more. And this is just a show to you on where our green cements are happening. Okay, in terms of the litigation case, it's still pending at the Supreme Court. And if we pay the fee for the violation, if now is a big if we lose the case and we pay, it will cost us 34 satang, and that our book value in the second quarter was 3.36. So, and our share price was only 1.5. So you can see that even if you take a very pessimistic view on the case and we get hit by the fee, our book value is still much higher than share price. So it's still very undervalued on the basis of this. Well, that's the end of my presentation, and I will pass you on to Professor, our senior VP, for the Q&A.
Thank you very much. ครับก่อนอื่นเดี๋ยวก่อนจะตอบคำถามผมขอสรุปนิดนึงนะฮะอาจจะเป็นที่คุณมาเรียพูดด้วยนะฮะทิศทางของกลุ่มบริษัทเนี่ยก็ยังเป็นเราจะมองไปในแง่ของเรื่องของ cost saving เป็นหลักนะครับในฝั่งโรงปูนเนี่ยก็จะใช้เชื้อเพลิงขยะมาแทนถ่านหินนะครับเราคาดว่าจะแทนได้ประมาณ 25% ของถ่านหินที่เราใช้นะครับเซฟวิ่งนี่ก็แล้วแต่ราคาถ่านหินนะระดับ1,000 ล้านถึง 2,000 ล้านต่อปีการใช้รถ EV นะครับในเมืองเนี่ยแทนดีเซลซึ่งตอนนี้เราก็เปลี่ยนอยู่ไปแล้วประมาณ40 คันนะฮะน่าจะเซฟได้ปีหนึ่งประมาณสัก150 ถึง 200 ล้านบาทนะครับในส่วนของโรงไฟฟ้าที่เป็น TT7 ก็ได้เปลี่ยนมาใช้สามารถใช้เชื้อเพลิงขยะแทนถ่านหินได้แล้วทั้ง 100% นะครับแล้วก็ส่วน TT8 เนี่ยอยู่ระหว่างการเปลี่ยนบอยเลอร์นะครับซึ่งคาดว่าจะเสร็จปีหน้าบางส่วนนะครับบอยเลอร์ตัวที่1แล้วก็ปี2025นะฮะ2025ก็อีกตัวหนึ่งอีกบอยเลอร์2ตัวนะครับก็ถ้าเปลี่ยนแล้วเสร็จเนี่ยก็จะสามารถทดแทนการใช้ถ่านหินของโรงไฟฟ้าได้ประมาณ 7-8 แสนตันต่อปีก็จะเป็นสีเขียวทั้ง 100% เลยนะครับนอกจากนี้เนี่ยยังมีการนำลัมโซนมารีไซเคิลนะครับซึ่งจาก CD plant นะซึ่งทำให้สามารถใช้ลัมโซนที่ไม่สามารถเนี่ยใช้ในการผลิตปูนซีเมนต์เนี่ยนำมาใช้ใหม่นะครับการที่เรานำขยะมาทดแทนถ่านหินนะครับในทั้งส่วนโรงปูนแล้วก็โรงไฟฟ้าเนี่ยก็จะทำให้เราสามารถเนี่ยมีการลดการปล่อยคาร์บอนนะครับแล้วก็สามารถที่จะมีคาร์บอนเครดิตซึ่งถ้ามี check credit verifier ก็จะสามารถนำไปขายได้ในอนาคตนะครับบริษัทก็ยังมีนโยบายที่จะเพิ่ม efficiency ของโรงไฟฟ้านะครับเพื่อให้สามารถผลิตไฟได้เพิ่มนะครับทั้งในส่วนโรงไฟฟ้าแล้วก็โรงปูนซีเมนต์ด้วยนะครับต่อไปนะครับผมขออนุญาตตอบคำถามนะครับขอภาพรวมปูนซีเมนต์ใน Q3 เนี่ยปริมาณขายจะเป็นยังไงนะคิดว่าคงจะขายได้ประมาณควอเตอร์ละไตรมาสละประมาณ3.1 ล้านนะครับ3.3 ล้านตันนะครับต่อไตรมาสก็จะมีโตโกรธนิดหน่อยนะฮะข้อ3นะครับปัจจุบันโพลีนมีการผลิตใช้ efficiency กี่เปอร์เซ็นต์นะครับก็อยู่ที่ประมาณ 90% นะที่ clinker capacities บริษัทมีปูนเม็ดส่วนเกินที่ส่งออกแล้วก็มี EBITDA หรือไม่เท่าไหร่นะครับก็ต้องตอบว่าเรามี export clinker นะครับโดยมีสเปรดนะมี EBITDA อยู่ส่วนหนึ่งนะครับเนื่องจากช่วงที่ผ่านมาเนี่ยราคาถ่านหินก็สูงนะแต่ปัจจุบันเนี่ยถ่านหินลงมาแล้วนะครับเหลืออยู่ที่ประมาณ 2,800 บาทต่อตันเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยตัวคลิงเกอร์ที่ส่งออกก็จะมี EBITDA เพิ่มขึ้นนะของเดิมก็มี EBITDA นะครับมี EBITDA อยู่แล้วก็จะเพิ่มขึ้นไปข้อ 5 แนวโน้มราคาปูนซีเมนต์ในประเทศคิดว่าสามารถปรับขึ้นได้อีกหรือไม่นะครับเพราะเศรษฐกิจโดยรวมยังไม่ฟื้นตัวเต็มที่นะฮะราคาปูนซีเมนต์เนี่ยก็น่าจะสามารถปรับขึ้นได้เล็กน้อยนะครับอันนี้ก็ขึ้นอยู่กับการเติบโตของเศรษฐกิจของประเทศโดยรวมนะครับนโยบายภาครัฐไม่ว่าจะเป็นนโยบายการ spending การลงทุนในโครงสร้างพื้นฐานนะครับแล้วก็โครงการขนาดใหญ่ซึ่งจะส่งผลโดยตรงต่อการใช้ปูนซีเมนต์ภายในประเทศนะครับเรื่องกลยุทธ์เกี่ยวกับถ่านหินปัจจุบันมีสต็อกถ่านหินเท่าไหร่นะครับปัจจุบันมีสต็อกถ่านหินฝั่งโพลินอยู่ 580,000 กว่าตันแล้วก็ของ Power ประมาณ 40,000 ตันนะครับต้นทุนของถ่านหินที่ซื้อมาในช่วงนี้ก็จะถูกประมาณ 60-65 สตางค์ต่อกิโลแคลอรี่นะครับก็ประมาณ 2,800 บาทนะครับปัจจุบันโพลินใช้ RDF เป็นกี่เปอร์เซ็นต์ของค่าความร้อนทั้งหมดนะครับเราทยอยใช้RDF นะครับมาแทนถ่านหินในโรงปูนเนี่ยปัจจุบันใช้อยู่ 15-20% นะครับแล้วก็จะเพิ่มการใช้ขึ้นไปถึง 25% นะครับข้อ 9 นะครับธุรกิจปิโตรเคมีเป็นยังไงบ้างในแง่ของวอลลุ่มกับสเปรดในแง่ของวอลลุ่มกับสเปรดเนี่ยของเราก็ยังค่อนข้างดีอยู่นะครับเราเชื่อว่าเรายังมีสเปรดอยู่ในระดับ 1,000 เหรียญต่อตันนะครับเพราะว่าเรามุ่งเน้นการผลิตและจำหน่าย EVA เป็นหลักนะครับไม่ใช่ซึ่งเป็น specialty grade polymer นะครับเราขายเพียงประมาณแค่ 10% นะครับของ LDPE ส่วนใหญ่เป็น EVA นะครับประมาณ roughly ประมาณ 90% เป็น EVA ข้อ 10 performance ของ TPIPL Power คาดว่าจะผลิตไฟประมาณเท่าไหร่นะครับในไตรมาสประมาณต่อไตรมาสเนี่ยผลิตผมว่าประมาณสัก500 ล้านหน่วยนะครับน่าจะอยู่ในระดับ5 ล้านหน่วยเพราะว่าเรามีการเพิ่ม efficiency ขึ้นไปต่อไตรมาสนะฮะปีนึงก็ประมาณ 1,800 ถึง 2,000 แล้วแต่จังหวะแต่ว่ารอบนี้เนี่ยเรามีการเพิ่ม efficiency ขึ้นไปก็น่าจะเพิ่มขึ้นคดีความนะครับคดีความเนี่ยก็ตามที่คุณมาเรียพูดแล้วนะครับใน worst case ถ้าแพ้คดีที่ชั้นศาลฎีกาซึ่งเราคิดว่าเราไม่แพ้นะฮะเพราะว่าเราบริษัทมีความเห็นว่าบริษัทไม่ได้กระทำผิดตามฟ้องแต่ว่าคดีปัจจุบันเนี่ยอยู่ที่ชั้นศาลฎีกานะครับและจริงๆแล้วผู้ร้องเนี่ยร้องให้เราชำระค่าเสียหายประมาณ 6,300 กว่าล้านหรือนะฮะเป็นหรือกรณี A หรือ B นะ A คือชำระ B คือให้ไปถมที่ปรับสภาพให้เหมือนเดิมเนี่ยนะครับซึ่งในกรณีที่แย่ที่สุดเนี่ยเราก็สามารถเลือกที่จะไปถมได้ซึ่งต้นทุนในการที่ไปถมเนี่ยก็จะถูกกว่าการที่ต้องชำระค่าปรับเรามองว่าอยู่ที่ประมาณ 10% เท่านั้นเองของคุณค่าที่ต้องจ่ายแต่ว่าอย่างไรก็ตามเนี่ยบริษัทก็ไม่ได้มองว่าบริษัทกระทำผิดตามฟ้องนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเราคิดว่าเราไม่มีความจำเป็นต้องจ่ายอะไรนะเพราะว่าเราไม่ได้กระทำผิดตามฟ้องแต่ว่าคดีเนี่ยก็อยู่ที่การพิพากษาของศาลฎีกานะครับประมาณนี้นะฮะถ้ามีคำถามเพิ่มเติมเดี๋ยวดูนิดนึงครับเรื่องคดีความเนี่ยก็อยู่ที่คำพิพากษาของศาลซึ่งเมื่อสิ้นสุดแล้วเนี่ยกรณีที่แย่ที่สุดเราก็ยังเลือกที่จะไปถมนะถ้าเราไปถมที่ปรับ ปรับที่ดินให้เหมือนเดิมเนี่ยก็น่าจะเสียเพียงแค่ 10% นะครับที่คุณมาเรียคำนวณเนี่ยปัจจุบันเรามี equity อยู่ประมาณสัก 63,000 กว่าล้านนะครับผมคิดว่าถ้า 10% ของ 6,000 ล้านหรือว่า 15% เนี่ยมันก็คือระดับหลักร้อยถึง 1,000 ล้านเนี่ยก็ไม่กระทบกับ equity ของเราปัจจุบันเนี่ยบริษัทมีหนี้ทางการเงินอยู่ประมาณสัก 74,000 ล้านขณะที่เรามีเงินสดอยู่ 13,000 ล้าน net debt อยู่ประมาณ 61,000 debt to EBITDA อยู่ประมาณสัก 5.9 เท่าซึ่งค่อนข้างแข็งแรงนะครับเงินสด 13,000 ล้านเนี่ยก็มีที่จะเอาไปชำระเรื่อง capex แล้วก็จ่ายหุ้นกู้ที่จะดิวด้วยส่วนหนึ่งนะครับประมาณนี้ครับต้องขอบคุณทุกท่านนะฮะที่ให้ความสนใจรับฟังการบรรยายสู่ข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL Power นะครับเราเจอกันอีกทีในไตรมาสต่อไปนะครับสำหรับวันนี้ผมและคุณมาเรียต้องขอบคุณทุกท่านที่ให้ความสนใจรับฟังการบรรยายสู่ข้อมูลในวันนี้ขอบคุณมากครับ